What's going on, guys? Welcome to my Shazam review. Tried, guys. Anyway, welcome to my Shazam review. So, this is about 2 months late on this review, but you know, it's okay, because I'm finally doing it. So this will be a spoiler review, so if you have not seen the movie yet, like me, before I saw it, then probably want to click off this video. But if you have seen it, and if you just don't care, go ahead, stick around, let's talk about Shazam. So, let's talk about how this movie opens up. So this movie opens up with Lionel fucking Luthor? John fucking Glover from Smallville? That was my reaction. As soon as I saw him, as soon as I heard his voice, I was like, Lionel Luthor? Like I was like, wow, I haven't seen that guy since Smallville. I was like all excited. I was like, what the fuck? If you guys told me that Lionel fucking Luthor was in this, I would have watched this movie sooner. So yeah, he's in this movie as like the dad to Dr. Savannah, the villain of this movie. And let's talk about Dr. Savannah real quick. So basically, we get to see his origin at the very beginning of the movie. We get to see that he's a little kid, he's a little boy, he's in the car with his dad and his older brother. And we get to see how he goes to meet the wizard while he's in the car. So I don't know how that works. I don't know if it was like he's still there physically, maybe not mentally. I don't know how that works. Magic, whatever. So he goes to meet the wizard, and apparently he is tempted. He is tempted by evil forces, and he cannot become Shazam. So the wizard throws him out, sends him back. They get into a car accident because the boy's freaking out, and Dad gets paralyzed. So yeah, that's fun. Then we get to see Billy Batson. And I want to talk a little bit about Billy Batson before I continue with this review. So, Billy Batson. I know a little bit about Billy Batson. So I know Billy Batson is supposed to be a huge nerd. I know that he's supposed to be, you know, all into Batman and all into Superman. I know he's supposed to really, really like them. They exist already. I know that that's how he's supposed to be portrayed. But in this movie, instead what we got this character named Fred, who is an orphan like Billy, and he is the big nerd. He is the big fan of Superman. He's the big fan of Batman. He's a big fan of Aquaman. So yeah, we get to see him wear an Aquaman shirt in this movie. I'm like, what the fuck? Who's wearing an Aquaman shirt? Like, God, I know Aquaman. Aquaman, I get it. You made $1 billion at the box office. You don't have to throw it in my face, okay? So yeah, that's a thing. He's wearing an Aquaman shirt. Anyway, let's move on. So he's the big nerd instead of Billy. Billy, they kind of do this approach to this movie kind of the way I wanted to with the Spider-Man story. I've been writing a Spider-Man story that's actually a lot like this. So yeah, I won't talk about that too much, but if you guys want me to talk about that, maybe I can in another video. So let's move on. So we get to see Billy Batson's origin here. And Billy Batson's played by Asher Angel. Never seen him in any other movie. But he plays his role pretty well. I think he does a really good job. I won't actually talk about him too much more until we actually get to the Shazam portion, just simply because I want to talk about those two and how they mix well together and everything. So we get to see Billy Batson origin. So he's an orphan. We get to see how he was at this carnival with his mother, and he loses his mother, and it was pretty sad actually to watch that. So then we see Billy going around years later trying to find her. That's what his goal is. He's been he's just juvenile. He's a delinquent. He goes out of his way to lock up these police men to get the records of his mom so that he can find her and stuff like that. Just this craziness, right? So that's what he's doing. And then we get a couple funny moments here and there during that, and then he finally gets caught by the cops in the orphanage, and then we get to see a brand new family that he's introduced to. And I like this, actually. I actually kind of like the whole orphan thing they got going here. So they got they got a little girl, they got a big boy, they got a college graduate. I mean, you got kids of all races and ages and ethnicities here. Like, it's crazy. And I liked what they did here with this. It was really, really cool and really fun to watch them go back and forth. I liked, there's a lot of funny moments in here where you get to see what all the characters are like, all the kids are like, how they, you know, you get introduced to all of them. So, I would say, so I want to talk about this dad character. So there's this orphan dad character we have in this, Victor, his name is Victor Vasquez, I think his name is. And he's played by Cooper Andrews. And when I saw him, I was like, oh shit, it's the guy from The Walking Dead. Hell yes. Because in that show, he was hilarious. I thought he was funny as fuck. And I was like, yeah, he's funny in this. I want to see him. He had a few, he had some chuckle lines. He didn't really have too many laugh out loud lines. So I was a little disappointed with that, but I was kind of glad he was in here. I like him. He's pretty cool. Alright, so I want to talk about the Wizard a little bit more. So we sooner or later we get to the point where Billy finally gets the Wizard. He finally gets the Wizard, and the Wizard makes him become Shazam. So one of the things I noticed about this part of the movie was he couldn't really test Billy. Like, there was no way for him to test Billy, because what happened was Dr. Savannah, years later, he grew up. He's an older man now. Apparently, he found out how to get back to where the Wizard was by finding out these puzzles, or these, I guess they're like, I don't know, I guess like, it's magic, I guess. I don't really know how it works, but he figures out how to get back to the Wizard. He finds the Wizard, he's talking to the Wizard again, you get to see them go back and forth again, but then he releases the 7 deadly sins, I guess. I guess the Wizard was trapping the 7 deadly sins as into stone, and then when the guy went up to pick up this blue orb, and then it went into his eye, and then he absorbed the sins, and the sins gave him power, and that's our villain. So, and then he goes out of his way, he goes back to his dad, Lionel Luthor over here, breaks in, and then they just murder all of the frickin' board members in his company. Just murdered. One guy gets his fucking head bit off. Like, damn. Everyone's just dead now. So, and then he kills the dad and the brother, obviously. So, yeah, there's that. Throws the brother out a fucking window and has a sin chow down on his daddy. Like, holy shit. What a villain. But then, apparently, because now the sins have realized that, oh, the Wizard has passed on a new champion, Shazam, blah, blah, blah. So, then he goes out of his way now to start looking for Shazam, this kid. During the meantime, we get to see how, you know, Billy is getting used to being Shazam, and it's kind of funny how him and Fred do this thing where they're doing, like, superhero training, and, you know, like, I like how they did this. How, they did this dynamic with these two characters, because like I said before, it's a dynamic that I was kind of writing with like a Spider-Man character. Again, if you guys want me to, you know, talk about that, I'm gonna make a video on that. If you want me to, just let me know. I'm just saying that. Okay, I'm done. I'm not gonna stop talking about my Spider-Man character, but all right. But back to the plot. So that was basically the beginning of the movie. So moving on to, so now we get to like the second act of the film, which is them training and them, you know, doing all that. So let me talk about a little bit about Shazam, and let me talk about a little bit about Billy, because they're played by two different actors. We got Zachary Levi, and we got Asher Angel. Because again, here's the trick. So they're two characters, right? They're two different people. And they did a really good job of actually portraying the same character. Because, you know, that can be tricky when you are playing, you know, the same person, but you're two different people. And I think they did a really good job of making sure that these two characters, these two people, act like the same person. And they, from the moment he transforms to the moment he transforms back into Billy. So I think they did a really good job of balancing that out, and I'm really happy with what they did here. So, anyway, moving back on to the plot, we get to see Fred and we get to see Shazam training, and they make like a YouTube channel, man, and like it's called Super Manager, and I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, is it okay that I'm jealous right now? Like, damn, maybe I should be jumping off rooftops and trying to fly and trying to take a bullet straight to the chest. I don't know. You know, I was sitting here like, oh man, this kid's a fucking genius. I started like writing things down. But yeah, but that was really cool to see them training and learning how to use his powers, learning what he can or can't do. They were really fun, and they're really funny and interesting, and I liked it. So then we start seeing, during the movie, in the middle of the movie, that Shazam, Billy, is getting a little greedy. He's getting a little, like, selfish, you know, like me type of thing. And we get to see this confrontation between Fred and Billy as, you know, they're going back and forth, how, like, you're not really acting like a hero, you know, you're just doing this all for money, blah, blah, blah. It's all become about the money at this point. And, you know, it's good that they did that. I think it works really well. Because, again, it's the idea that a boy is in a man's body. And, you know, in a superhero's body. Not a man's body, a superhero's body. Like, holy hell, man, you got power, unbelievable power. So, you know, like, yeah, like, I'm glad they took that direction. I mean, I guess that the way the movie kind of was going, that's the only direction they could have gone. But it works really well. I'm glad they did it. And I like the way they go from him being, you know, very selfish, very self-centered, and me, to him being a hero, him actually having to go out of his way to fix up some of the messes he made. Like when he accidentally shocks this truck and blows up the tire, and he has to catch the bus because, you know, it was going to fall off the highway. You know, that's a really good moment. It's a really good thing because, again, it's showing that he has to, and you can see he's like, don't fall, you know, he's being all funny about it, and then he catches it, and then there's like a dog in front of him, and he has to, it's like, go away, move out of the way, doggy, so he can put the bus down. So yeah, I think as far as comedy, we'll talk about the comedy. The comedy, I feel like, is hit or miss. I think that sometimes it hits home. Sometimes they get home runs. Sometimes they get, like, hits out in the outfield. Sometimes it's in the short field. And sometimes it just flat out misses. Some of the comedy in this movie just flat out misses sometimes. And that's okay. I think that, you know, the fact that you got a lot of kids in this movie, it's like, okay, well, we're going to kind of treat the movie as such. We're going to, you know, I guess you can kind of get away with it where it's like, okay, yeah, we're kids. We're not going to be the most creative with our jokes. We're not going to have the most funniest jokes. So I guess it was just like throw whatever we got and see what sticks. Which is okay, I guess. I'll let you get away with it for now, but I think the comedy was very hit or miss. Either I laughed or I kind of cringed or I was like, you know, kind of chuckle or whatever. But, yeah, you got a good little bit of all three of those types of reactions out of me during this movie. Moving back on to the plot. So we get to see our first fight with, well, now, hold on, let me actually back up. Before that, there's a really good scene I actually really liked in this movie. And this was a scene with, Shazam. This is like before with the bus scene. He's, you know, trying to make money by zapping his fingers into the air. And he sees, like his foster sister, big sister or whatever, and she's about to get by this truck. He saves her real quick, but he didn't know it was her at first. And then they sit down and they have this discussion about how she got accepted into this college that she was trying to go for. And she is upset because she doesn't really want to leave her family. You know, and I thought it was a really sweet moment. And then we also get to see what Billy's state of mind is at that point, where he's all me at that point. You know, he's like, yeah, just go to college, you know, get as far away from this place as you can, you know, things like that. And it was a really cool moment, because I liked how, I like moments like that when a superhero kind of sits down with the civilian or with like a regular person and just has a conversation. And they're just doing it right there on the street. I'm like, yeah, that's cool, man. They're just sitting on the bench, just talking. I like that. I really like scenes like that. Like, those are my favorite things, especially in the comics. I wish they'd do that more. Like, I really like that scene. That's why I pointed it out. All right, so back to the bus scene and so right after he saves the people on the bus, he has his first fight with Dr. Savannah. And this fight was actually really good in the sense of we get to see how he wasn't ready for this. Like, at first, when he became Shazam, it was all just fun and games, right? You know, just a boy just playing superhero, and then all of a sudden, reality hits him in the face, and now he has to fight this man who is trying to kill him, essentially, and take his powers. And, you know, we get a few funny gags. We get to see him finally fly. We get to see him during this fight finally start to fly. You get to see the scene where he takes this Batman doll, and he's like, get him, Batman! And we see it in the trailer, so it's not really like a huge spoiler or anything, but it was funny. It was funny as fuck, because there's a lot of Batman jokes in here, which I'll get to a couple, but there were a couple of Batman jokes in here that were hilarious. But then he has to run away. He has to run away. You can't fight him. And, you know, I was like, okay, yeah, that was good. I was like, yeah, that's good. And that was like the end of the second act. And then we get to the final act, which is when Fred is looking for Billy in the mall, because that's where the fight ends. Billy yells Shazam. He disappears into the crowd when Dr. Savannah wasn't looking. And Fred, out of all people, shows up somehow on his limp leg and then the Dr. Savannah just looks at the kid, goes from point A to point B on the camera, and he's like, hostage. takes him back to his house. It's like, where do you live? Takes him back to his house and holds all the kids hostage, essentially. In the meantime, Billy finds out about his mom. We get to see, he finally finds his mom, right? So he finally finds her. He finally confronts her about, you know, why did you leave me behind? Or like, what happened? Hey, I found you finally, blah, 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 blah. And we get her side of the story. We get to see that she was 17 years old when she had him. We, the audience, didn't know that at the time. She was 17. And I was sitting there like, holy shit, my mom was 19 when she had me, and my mom loved me. You know, she wanted me. So again, it's like stupid mistakes like that. You think to yourself, and it's like, oh, wow, 17, holy shit. So we get to see how she loses the son in the crowd, and she sees him with the police, and then she just leaves. She just says that he'd be better off. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, really? I mean, like, we didn't really get to see how his family life was with the dad or the mom. We just kind of got to see the mom. And then as soon as he was leaving, I was thinking to myself, like, you want to try the dad? I mean, like, I'm like, you're not gonna be like, maybe I should, because the whole reason why he couldn't find his mom was because he was using Batson, his dad's last name. So it's like, okay, well, why didn't he just try to look for his dad? He just gives up, I guess. And it's like, oh, I gotta go back to my real family now. Like, okay. You know, whatever. So, again, this movie has a theme where it's like, you know, the family you make, not the family you have type of thing, which is good. It's a good one. I can relate to that with my life, too, with, like, when I was going to high school and with all the people that I met and I grew up with. I can see that. So he gets a phone call from Fred. Apparently, it's Dr. Savannah on the line, and then Billy has to rush back home. We get to see Billy. Then we get to see that shot where Billy runs, says Shazam, and he flies off back to the house. And then we get to see this scene where Billy has to surrender. So he takes Dr. Savannah back to the wizard's place. And Dr. Savannah's being a punk, just throwing him around. And then we get to see Shazam and Shazam trying to talk to Dr. Savannah, like, hey, man, like, I get it. Like, my mom just straight up just said she abandoned me and, this and that. And then Dr. Savannah's like, nope, just shut up, stand up, I don't want to hear it, blah, blah, blah. And it's funny because, like, you see people like that all the time where it's like, oh, man, like, it's like, let me just try to relate with you, but then all of a sudden it's like they don't care. It's like, fuck you, just give me what I want type of thing. Because, he's the villain, he's the bad guy. I kind of wish that they did something with that where it's like, hey, man, like, I know what you're feeling, like, I get it, I get what the whole thing is, like, I feel like, they didn't really have a heart-to-heart with the villain and the hero. I feel like that would have been better for, like, an ending, maybe, instead of just a fisticuffs fight, because, sooner or later, when we get to the end here, we're going to be talking about the ending, and we're going to be talking about how they try to do this thing where it's like, hey, we don't want this fight to end in a straight-up fight, but we want it to end smartly. And I get that, but the way they did it was, let's talk about that later. But let's continue. So, what happens is the kids follow Shazam and Dr. Savannah into the wizard's place, and you see a batarang get thrown at the back of Dr. Savannah's head. And the first thought that came to my mind was, holy shit, Batman? Batman's here. like what? Like I was getting excited for 5 seconds. I was like, oh shit, it's Batman. Batman's gonna save the day. Batman, you selfish prick. I knew you were gonna, I knew it. I knew Batman. I knew you were getting pissy at the fact that you didn't get your own movie yet. And, calm down. Your movie's coming. But, it wasn't Batman. It was just the kids because, Fred's got that batarang. And we get to see Dr. Savannah's weakness. We get to see how, the sins when they're not in his little eyeball here. He is he's able to be mortally wounded because of that fact that he doesn't have all the sins. So I was like, okay, that's cool. Like how they showed off that weakness. I was like, how are they going to show that off? How are they going to, make this work now? So the movie continues. We get this little scene where Shazam and the kids are running away. And we get this little funny gag of opening doors that lead to all these different places. The worst one must have been the one with the crocodile. Like, there were, people, and then, crocodile heads. I was like, oh, shit, close it, close it, close it, close it. And they're just staring. I'm like, what are you doing? Close the door. It's crocodiles. And the crocodiles are starting to run at him. Like, oh, shit. But, yeah. And then they do this thing where to get out of the wizard's place, I guess they teleport? So, they all kind of, hold each other, and they tell Billy to kind of, think of a different place other than here, and then he goes to a strip club, which is funny, because we do go to a strip club earlier, which I thought was hilarious. Like when they first did this with the training scenes with Shazam and Fred, and we get to see him go into a strip club, I was like, oh my gosh. That's funny, the typical kid shit, buying beer and all that stuff. I was like, yeah, that's funny, that works, that's cool. Do kids still do that? Do kids still care about that? Because these kids are 14. So they're still running away. They get to the carnival. So this is where we get to our last big fight scene here at the carnival. So we get to see, even the bullies are at this fucking carnival. Everyone's here. So everyone's at this carnival. And they all kind of blend in. They kind of hide in with the crowd. And then Dr. Savannah shows up. Hey, if you don't come out, I'm just going to start killing all these people. And then, you know, then we get this scene where Billy has to man up. And he has to take responsibility. He has to, you know, Shazam and shows himself off. And now he has to, like, fight Dr. Savannah. But then we get this funny scene where the kids have this brilliant idea to scatter the sins. So now that they know what the weakness is, the plan is to scatter the sins, right? Like, okay, let's just divide and conquer. That's what the college girl says. Let's divide and conquer, right? And they do that, but the problem is they get caught in like 5 fucking seconds. They don't last long. That was hilarious. I laughed as soon as the sin started grabbing all the kids. I was like, oh my gosh. This is hilarious. Because like your bright out plan, your brilliant plan just got completely wrecked in like 5 seconds. 5 seconds. Everything went to shit. 5 seconds. That was just hilarious. So we go back to the Dr. Savannah and Shazam fight. Billy gets hit into this little spot. I like this scene. It was actually really, really sweet. We get to see Billy kind of give the kid this dad and the little girl a tiger, and then I guess that was kind of his way of motivating himself to man up and kind of get out there and start fighting, which I thought was cool. Then immediately we get a scene of him going kind of flying straight through a freaking sin, and then he immediately is taken down. So then we get this scene where all the kids got kidnapped. They're in this little tent. And really great A acting here. So like, Dr. Savannah's like, oh, bite that little girl's head off. And, you know, then Zachary Levi's Shazam's like, no! Like, stop! And I was like, ooh. Like I felt that right there. I was like, ooh, I feel it, right? I'm just, you know, starting to feel that responsibility with Shazam here. So then I guess he kind of gives up again. He kind of starts walking to him. And then he's got this stick. This stick that is used to transfer power of Shazam and all that. So then Shazam has this flashback to what the wizard said to him. And then he, while all the sins were kind of scattered, and holding them hostage, I guess or no, not holding the kids hostage. He brings the sins back into him and let the kids go. So gave Shazam an opening to kind of kick him and grab the stick. And then so this is where we get to the scene that I kind of had an issue with. So he grabs the stick. He has all the kids, all the little orphan kids, hold the stick. And he says, say the name. Say the name. And then it was kind of funny. They all say Billy. And then he's like, no, not my name, like the name I used to turn into this guy. And then they say Shazam. And then all the kids become Shazam. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, I don't like this. Because if the hero, and this is why I don't like this, because if the hero cannot defeat the villains by himself, then you got a bit of an issue here. I get what you're going for. It's this idea that, you can't do it alone. You need a team of people, blah, blah, blah. But this is about Shazam. Let's focus on Billy Batson. Instead, they kind of did this multiple Shazam thing. And I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it either. I was like, whatever. But we did get some funny and cool scenes with them being superheroes and kind of, talking and all this stuff. So while the orphan kids are fighting, the Shazam kids are fighting the other sins and trying to save people at the carnival, Shazam and Billy Batson and Shazam and Dr. Savannah go ahead and they take this fight to the city. And we get a little bit of our Man of Steel fights. So we get to see those two kind of clash back and forth. We get to see some of that. And then we get this, so this is where we get to this creative win here, I guess. So Billy starts going on about, or Shazam starts going on about like, ooh, I know that there are 7 sins. There's 1 sin left. envy. You know, then he starts naming all the sins. A lot of religious stuff in here. We had a scene with at the beginning of the movie with like prayer at dinner. I have not sang prayer at dinner in a long time. I have not done that in a long time. But he starts talking about like, oh, like I know envy's still in you. I know you still got like one sin in there. So then he starts taunting like the envy sin. He starts taunting it. And that was his way of mortalizing Dr. Savannah to get the sin out. I love how he takes this last sin out. So he's like Shazam, because the sin's on him. It grabbed him because it's pissed. It wants to bite his head off. So he says Shazam, kills it, runs. Shazam, save Dr. Savannah. He's falling to his death, saves him, takes him back to the carnival, rips the eye out of his thing, and all the sins go back into the ball, and everyone knows they're heroes. And then they take it back to the wizard's palace, or whatever, the lair, I guess, and they put it back. So, and then we get a little scene of Mall Santa just going like, oh shit, that was fucking crazy. Like, I started laughing like crazy when the Mall Santa just grabbed the reporter's mic and started like, like just going off. I loved it. And like no one's stopping him. They just let him keep going. I love that so much. So yeah, and then we get this last shot of the kids at the table, Billy saying prayers, and then roll credits, and we get a bunch of funny shots of like, you know, the scenes with Wonder Woman, like they're like with Wonder Woman and Aquaman and Superman and Batman, all that stuff. It was funny. It was great. Little cartoony sketches for credits. It was great. Perfect. So yeah, that was Shazam. And then we got a little I guess after credit scene, mid credit scene, where we get to see this caterpillar like come to Dr. Savannah in what I'm assuming is Arkham Asylum. I'm assuming that Dr. Savannah is in Arkham Asylum. So this caterpillar can talk. I guess it was the same caterpillar from the beginning of the movie. I guess he's some type of villain. I'm sure someone in the comments will tell me. So yeah, that was the little teaser at the end. I don't know what it means. I'm sure some Shazam fan or some DC Comics fan is gonna tell me, oh, it's so and so, and then I'll look stupid. But yeah, that was Shazam. That was really good. Really good movie. So my final thoughts. I think one of the things that I didn't like about the film was the lack of action. Don't expect, like, if you haven't seen this movie yet, don't expect to see a lot of action in this movie. That was the one thing I was a little bit disappointed with. I was like, there's not a lot of action here. There's not even a lot of, you know, compilations of him kind of saving people or fighting bad guys. It's just, you know, him being a fool and being irresponsible until the very end of the movie. So I was like, okay, lack of action, that's a bit boring. But we do get a big action scene at the end. I was like, okay, sure, whatever. We get a little bit of that in the middle. But I thought that wasn't enough. We'll see. But another thing I would say that I did not like about this movie was, well, I liked and didn't like, was the comedy. I thought a lot of the comedy was hit or miss. I thought there were some parts of the movie where they hit it out of the park. I thought there were some parts of the movie where they just flat out fell on their face and they left it in the movie and it was cringe or whatever. And then the final thing I had a problem with was probably the Shazam kids. I was like, no, please don't. So there's more than one Shazam at the end of the movie. So, damn. So yeah, that's it. I mean, yeah, the Shazam kids. The only comic book thing I remember with the Shazam kids was the one where all the kids put their hands together, they all say Shazam, and then they become one person. That is the only version of Shazam that I know. That's not the Billy Batson version. That's the only other one I know. So, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you there. But what would I give this movie? Final verdicts here. Final ratings. This movie's really good. I think the lack of action kind of ruined it a bit for me, and I think that the comedy was hit or miss. And I thought the Shazam kids were a cop-out. So I'm going to give this movie an 8 out of 10. Really good movie. Really liked it. I just thought that the ending just needed a little bit more work. Kind of like with Wonder Woman. Like, I think I said the same thing with Wonder Woman. I don't know if you guys saw my Wonder Woman review. I ended up giving Wonder Woman like a 7 out of 10 just because I thought the ending was so weird. I was like, what just happened? But the Shazam kids thing made sense, but I guess I just didn't want that. So that's just my issue. So 8 out of 10, really good movie. I'm glad I saw it. You know, I'm glad I waited. I think this wasn't a movie that I had to rush out to see. But I am glad I saw it. I am glad I saw it. I think this is a movie that I can turn on and I can watch, you know, every once in a while. So, really good movie. Really glad I watched it. What did you guys think of Shazam? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Was it comic book accurate enough for you guys? Did you guys like what they did with the changes compared to the comics or whatever? Let me know what you guys think about that, and I'll see you guys in the next video. So thank you guys for watching, and I'm out of here. Up, and away. See you guys.